Greetings, my friends. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Let's Get Gritty podcast. I'm here with you today. I'm so happy to join you guys. I hope you had a great week. Today, we're going to talk about some awesome content. But before we get started, I just want to make some announcements with you. First off, the Let's Get Gritty podcast with Dr. India White, it will be featured on Swain Girl Media channel from Precious Swain, which is super exciting. Let me put that back up there for you guys. You can find it on Fire Stick. There's more details to come. Also, I want to remind you guys that if you want to follow me on social media, that you can follow me on Facebook at Miss India White. My LinkedIn is The India White. Twitter is Indie Speak and Teach. And Instagram is Indie238. And my YouTube channel is India White 123, which I talk about all different types of content on my YouTube channel. So feel free to join me. You'll see also in the back of me all of my social media handles where you can go and you can follow me. Some I frequent more than others, but there you have it. So with that said, I want to now also remind you guys of going to my website. Check out my blog section. I really try to update you guys like every day or every week to every other week with new content on my blogs. Also, there are books. There's new content as well. Woo-hoo! And also, if you're wanting to schedule me for a speaking, coaching event, or professional development, if you want to do some work with me, I would love to join you. So let's get to it. With that said, guys, again, I'm going to talk with you today about a wonderful topic, which I cannot wait for us to really crack this open. And this topic today is going to be harnessing grit. Now, how do you harness grit? I talked about grit during the TED Talk that I was honored to be a part of in TEDx Ocala with that wonderful tribe of leaders. But the one question I continue to get nationwide is, okay, well, how do you harness grit? I mean, I understand I have grit, but how do I harness grit? So with that said, I'm going to talk about just talk from the heart about what that means. But not only that, also with what people have said, what other experts have said about grit, especially for those that are in education or you're a business leader and you're trying to see how do you harness grit in those that you're working with, or you're in education, how do you harness grit in students? How do you harness grit in other teachers? If you're a principal, superintendent, or a leader. So with that said, let's get to it. So we know Dr. Angela Duckworth, we're going to give her as much honor as possible. She said that grit is the passion and perseverance needed to obtain long-term goals. Dr. Angela Duckworth is a professor at the University of Pennsylvania. She does work nationwide, and she is very credible and is known for this work. So I also kind of wanted to just kind of champion on what she said and kind of piggyback on what she said. I also believe it's when you're able to push obstacles to the side to achieve beyond your greatest desire. And the reason why I'm saying this is because when you're trying to obtain a goal, a long-term goal, hurdles come up, obstacles come up. And as a result, you can find yourself being very frustrated and coming short of obtaining your goal if you don't harness grit. For instance, if it's a student in school, if that student doesn't understand that they have a specific deadline to study for an exam, they're not going to do as well. Or if that student has not prioritized their studies and their academics over playtime, over Snapchat, over TikTok, over social media, over YouTube, whatever they're doing, and they spend most of their time outside of really being a studious learner, they might not make the cut. Hence, failing the course, not graduating, repeating the course, not getting into that school, the different things like that. So various obstacles can really kind of come into play here. So it's imperative that we help them. And if you have someone that is working with you on your team and they don't understand how to harness their grit, they can push deadlines to the side for so long until finally they're either missing the cut and they're causing everybody else to miss deadlines. And it just kind of makes everything kind of slow down, which is definitely not good for the business. So with that said, how do you harness grit? Well, to me, grit is a feeling that you get in a workout session, for instance, that lets you know that you have to remain resilient. So when you're trying to harness grit, think of yourself on a treadmill. and you're working out and working out, you get down to the 20-minute mark. That's when you really start feeling that cardio. You start feeling the burn. They talk about feel the burn. Okay, ladies, this is the time we're on the treadmill and you're like, okay, I'm starting to make progress. My calories are starting to look like I'm burning up close to 100 calories. Things are looking up for me. And you get that feeling of, I could stop and I could take a break. I could get a sip of water, take 5 minutes, get back on it. Or I can continue to move forward. Now that's harnessing grit. It's when you feel like, oh my word, like the pressure's real. I feel the burn. I want to quit. And there's this measurement where you say, I can quit and justify it, or I can continue to harness grit, build up my grit to meet the 30-minute mark on an hour workout or whatever it is that you've set your mind up for. So with that said, that's what it is. It's a measurement that you have within you during a time when you're able to give up, but you decide to harness grit, build your grit when you want to quit so that you can persist and continue to obtain your goal. So with that said, I went digging and I found some really amazing people that spoke about grit. And one of them was, I know I saw Sydney Morning. It was an article, a journal article. They spoke about grit. They quoted Duckworth right here where she says that grit is when you view setbacks as a part of the growth process and as they help you to reframe how you view stumbling blocks in a general sense. Duckworth talked about even performers practice they practice at their craft and they still make a lot of mistakes. So it's even with that, that's adding on to it. Not only is it not giving up when you want to, it's when you've made a mistake in the process of obtaining a goal, like Duckworth is saying here, and you decide to get back up again and to keep going. That is harnessing grit. That is picking it up. That is building upon it so that you can become, successful at obtaining your goal. Also, I was able to dig a little bit and I found another expert in grit, someone that wrote about grit. Her name is Noha Abu Shinaf, and she wrote in her article on what is grit on LinkedIn, she wrote, it's not that you merely care strongly about something, but that you must care deeply about a thing in a strong, abiding way. Okay, she says, you have your priorities planned out and they're in order. So that, for instance, if it's a workout, you only have a certain amount of time in the morning before you have to go to work, or that you have only a certain amount of time before you have to take the final exam. So you're not going to sit in the corner and sip on coffee. You're going to work out. You're not going to sit there and watch YouTube, watching different shows on YouTube, or watching the news or whatnot. You're going to actually go and frequent your studies, your academics, so that you can be successful in obtaining your goal of passing that exam. So those are different ways that you can harness grit. Those are different things. She went on to talk a little bit more about it. She talked more about grit. She talked about just different things that you can do. But not only did she talk about it, Sydney Morning, that Herald article, Sydney Morning Herald, they mentioned that it's a couple of things. They said that you can establish consistent habits, such as setting the alarm for the same time each day. You can schedule work blocks and ensure that you take a breather. Choose aspects of your day that you enjoy the most and then make time for them. It's also basically, it's people that have a sense of purpose, feeling that whatever their purpose is, it matters, but it's what defines every stage of their life. So their interest, their practice, and their purpose is hope. This is actually more from Noha here that is talking about this. She talked about also that gritty people, they have a passion, which starts with interest and enjoyment for a chosen activity or a part of a project. She says that they also have discipline and practice, and that their passion helps them to strive to become better at what they do. So she's saying here that it's about having that passion, building up enough inner motivation and passion to go beyond and to be successful when you're tempted to give up. Okay, so again, morning they talked about how viewing setbacks as a part of the growth process, because it's going to help you to reframe how you build those stumbling blocks. Okay, so when you're dealing with harnessing grit, it is so imperative that you understand that when you harness grit, your whole entire goal is, I have to obtain this goal. It's not an option. It's not an option. If I'm studying for a test, it's not an option to fail. It's just not an option. I have to pass. If I am trying to become successful in my business, I cannot sleep all day. I have to produce. If I am trying to become that wonderful employee, I need to please my boss and let them know that I am a team player and that I am an asset, not a liability. So, and if I'm working out and now this one here, if I'm working out, I really have to challenge myself. Like for instance, I personally, I have a goal, a weight goal that I set, right? And I tell myself, I must weigh this amount, no excuses. I have it plastered on my wall so that I know what my goal is. I'm not just working out as just something to do to waste time. There is definitely a goal that I must obtain. And until I obtain that goal, I'm not satisfied. I have to keep working out. There's times when I'm tempted to indulge in a triple chocolate fudge chocolate cake with mousse and all this other stuff, whipped cream, strawberry with chocolate glaze or strawberry glaze, whatever. But instead, I'm going to eat veggie sticks or a carrot. When I see a virgin strawberry daiquiri, I would love to indulge in that, but instead I'm going to love that cup of water, that bottle of water, and I'm going to harness grit by choosing to work out and choosing to indulge in the things that I love, the things that I'm passionate about that are not going to help me obtain my goal. I have to pause those or even completely get rid of those things if they are detrimental to my goal. Of course, making sure that those things aren't harming me, and at the same time. So with that said, that is one way that I kind of see harnessing grit, really activating grit so that we can become successful. Now, for educators, when you're trying to get a child to harness the grit, this is definitely imperative when you are dealing with a child that is dealing with either mathematical discourse or they're dealing with discourse in another subject area. And this child is trying to figure out, how do I progress through this problem? And I'm 60% through the problem, and I want to just take my pencil, throw it up in the air and say, I'm done. How do you help that child to continue to harness the grit? Well, you have to definitely be someone that child can trust, where you're being a cheerleader to that child and letting them know, hey, you've got this, continue to persevere. You're almost there. Don't give up. Where are you now? Yes, I like your thinking process. Keep moving forward. So you're letting that child know that they're doing great. And when they're like, this is just so much, it's so tough, I'm tired, then you say, you know what? I understand how you feel, but you are doing a fabulous job. Don't allow them to focus on the struggle. Allow them to focus on the end goal. Allow them to focus on what they have their mind set to, why they have to persist. So you could say, you're doing great. Listen, you've only got 3 more weeks, and then you're going to progress to the next grade. You're going to graduate. You've got a couple more of these, and then you're going to do fabulous on that exam. You got a couple more of these. If you're an employer, you're doing a fabulous job in this content here. And I see that if you continue, you've got, this promotion, or you've got this bonus, or you've got this opportunity, or, I just see you thriving. I see you growing through this. You are kind of honing in on your craft and you're becoming an expert with what you're contributing to the company. So it's all in how we package these things to those that are trying to harness grit, so that they understand that their work effort is not in vain and that you completely support them. And as you convince these people that their building up of the grit is worth the effort, they will continue. So that is another key. You have to convince somebody that when they are harnessing grit, that the grit that they have chosen to harness, it is worth it. You've got to create a buy-in for students, especially in the classroom. When you're dealing with education and you're dealing with students, you have to create a buy-in to let a student know, is it worth me harnessing grit to obtain this goal? Is it really a goal of mine, or is it a goal of yours? So you have to first convince that student. That's through relationship building. That's through finding out what that student wants. Okay. And then, of course, convincing that child that this is the best fit plan for them, that they have to harness grit so that they can become successful. So students might say to you all the time, why do I need to do this class? I don't need to take I'm not taking this. I'm not majoring in math in college. I'm not majoring in English in college. Why do I have to do this? So that is when you have to find out, you have to get to know your student. Do they want to be an engineer? Do they want to be a music producer? Do they want to be an athlete? Do they want to be an entrepreneur? Do they want to be a lawyer? What is the field that your child is interested in pursuing? Find out what that is, and then speak to that child in that particular content when talking about why it's worth them harnessing grit. You have to do this because when you go off to college to become that businessman, so many of the skill traits that you're going to need is going to involve being able to persist through some of the math problems and some of the business problems that will come across your desk. Oh, well, this is imperative for you as a lawyer because, as you learn how to persist and you have great studying skills and you know how to continue to persevere all the way, to the end of, this course, that's going to help you to build the same skill set when you persist through some of your courses in law school. So how are you packaging this to students? If we walk around with a coffee mug in our hand or a cup from some store and we're sipping on it and walking around the room, lollygagging with our kids, and they're saying, why do I need to do this? And we just sip away and we say, because I said so. Or because we're at the computer and we're texting away and then we say, just do it. That is not going to help students to harness grit. Students will lose 90% of their motivation because they'll feel like, they don't even care. So why do I need to care? I'm sitting here sweating away, trying to understand why I need to do this, why I need this for my life, because it's not making sense. It does not connect. And you're over there walking around with coffee or walking around with your tea, whatever, and you're telling me just do it because I said so, or do it just because, and I don't have a hook. No, I'm not going to do it. It's like if you're, even if you're at a job and your employer says, just do this for me because I said so. You might do it, but the passion is less than 20% on that project. And you'll probably do it with resentment and malice. Like, okay, I'll do it, but yeah. If there's no incentive, the lower the incentive is in it, the lower the buy-in, you're not going to want to put your best foot forward. And if you do put your best foot forward, it's going to be an emotional struggle because you're going to feel like you got the short end of the stick and the project's not worth it because you didn't get a true value in it. You didn't get a buy-in in it. It's not really worth anything to you because you don't really have any investment at stake, if that makes sense. So with that said, so those are some things that you want to, keep in mind when you're trying to harness grit in students. Now, if you're trying to harness grit in a teacher and an educator, first things first, you have to respect an educator and be thankful because educators sacrifice so much. They go get all these credentials. They're amazing. They're rock stars. Then they go in the classroom. They deal with children. They deal with attitudes. They deal with all the different types of laws and policies that are coming down the pipeline. They're dealing with like 80 emails a day. They're dealing with parent meetings. They're dealing with, various meetings about children, various meetings about sports events, teacher duty. There's all different types of things, lesson plannings that teachers deal with. And it feels like they have so much just bogging them down. And then when you're coming to them saying, I need you to, improve in your proficiency or improve in your performance when I come and do a classroom observation, or I need you to help me raise those scores of those lower quartile students, those students that scored, on didn't quite make proficiency on those exams, but then there's no incentive. That is very challenging for teachers to deal with because it's the attitude behind it. It's like, wait, so I get up every morning at 5 to get to this school at 6:45 when my hours are actually 7:30. And then I stay after for faculty meetings. I stay after for teacher duty. I stay after for all these other things that I am not getting any credit for. I'm not getting anything for. And then, I'm supposed to also help with the children and help with the parent meetings and help with this. Not saying they don't want to do it, but sometimes teachers come into school at 6:45 a.m. and they don't leave till 6 p.m. Believe me, I was that teacher that I would come in at 7 a.m. and I wouldn't leave till 8 p.m. when I first started teaching. Literally, I would stay at school till 8 p.m. My principal would have to come in and say, India, go home. He would come in my classroom. I'll never forget it. He would come in my classroom and turn off the light and say, it's time to go home. And I would say, but I've got one more piece to add to this lesson plan. And I'm like 22 years old, right? And I'm like, but I've got one more thing to write, one more thing to do. Please, just let me one more thing. And he would say, no, go home. And then what did I do over the weekend? I would take that stack of papers home with me to grade so that I could give feedback, because I never had time during the day because I had faculty meetings. I had PLCs. I had, hours with the children, tutoring. I had to, plan for an hour that day. So therefore, and then I had to teach. So I didn't have time to grade. Of course, I learned over the years more efficient grading methods. But when you're really trying to provide quality feedback for students, it was tough. Because if you're trying to give kids quizzes, tests, whatever type of informal or formal assessments, they need as much feedback as possible. And if you're going to be an honest, beautiful, genuine teacher and really give them what they need, you don't want to just give a check mark or put 100% or put 83% without saying why that student got that, or the parts that they need to look for or what they need to do to improve, right? So with that said, teachers have so much on their plate. That's why I think every teacher needs to get paid so much more than what they do. And I'm going to get off of that one, but long story short, it's all in the messaging and in the packaging of when you're trying to harness grit. Now, one thing that does work is giving teachers various ways of appreciating them, saying, I see what you're doing. Keep up the great work. Leaving a sticky note at their desk, giving them gift cards, giving them raises, giving them opportunities to have other incentives. Maybe they can attend a certain, event outside of, class, outside of the school and the community. Maybe they can be packaged with a vacation. There's so many different things that you can do for teachers to really let them know, listen, we appreciate you and all that you do. Like, for real, we appreciate you, because they need that voice. So with that said, those are some ways that you can really harness grit in the educator and the student that I think is very imperative today with what we're going on. I mean, with the achievement gap and with all of the different issues we have facing nationwide regarding children just giving up. So many children are giving up. Matter of fact, some students are giving up and they're going on YouTube. They're creating YouTube vlogs, YouTube videos, YouTube channels, making 6 figures at home, just vlogging, video game vlogging, some of them. One kid, I think, makes like $200,000 a day, something crazy, $200,000 a week. and all he does is play video games. What's his incentive of learning algebra 2 or English 4 or, you know what I mean? So whenever you have temptation like that and we're up against that, or are we up against it? I don't know that we're up against it. I think it's a tool that we have not learned to leverage inside of the classroom because we've not been able to trust that particular outlet, YouTube, right? We've not been able to trust it because there's so much on it. But maybe we can come up with a plan where we can actually trust YouTube even more in our schools, so that kids can use this. Maybe we can develop student tube pages where students go on and they can represent a school, and they can actually create content, and it could stay on the school page and the school can get credits for it, and it could turn these kids into future star YouTubers. I don't know. That's a great idea. Somebody's going to pick it up. So with that said, when you're talking about harnessing grit, it is so imperative that whatever you do, you don't give up on students. You don't give up. You have to understand, you have to help children, again, to push obstacles aside until they achieve beyond their greatest desire. So some questions that you have to ask yourself as a leader, as an educator, as a business owner: how am I harnessing grit in my life? Sit down and have a moment of reflection. Sometimes, we get so used to the mundane, just the everyday, right? That we don't make time for our own destiny. Why are you on the earth? Why do you need to harness grit? That's another reason why. So many people, listen, I've been guilty of this. You'll see someone over here doing their life's destiny, doing a fabulous job of their life's destiny. But then you're stuck thinking, wait, what am I supposed to do? Like, who am I? Why was I created? I had to get quiet with India, right? And I had to figure out, why was India created? Once I figured out what my purpose was on the earth, why I was established, okay, on that Wednesday morning in June, why was I established? Once I figured that out, I was able to say, okay, now I know what my purpose is. I'm here to really help pay it forward. I'm really here to help people. I have a message to tell. I am an expert. I am a master teacher at grit, at mathematics, other areas. And I figured out why I went through all the things I went through growing up and how to now use that information to help teachers. I'm not standing, and not only teachers, administrators, principals, superintendents, professors. I figured out my destiny because I had to get quiet. I had to harness enough grit. I had to care about myself and my destiny enough to say, what was it? Why was I put on the earth? Why was I put on the earth? And what is my purpose? And how do I activate that purpose in a way that could serve people in the best fit manner? So with that said, it's the same thing when you're trying to harness grit in an individual. Why do they need to harness grit? Why do they need to be passionate about this? If they're already passionate, awesome. How can you take that passion and expand it, stretch it, make it elastic like a rubber band so that they don't give up? Let them continue to stretch it so that they can obtain that goal. The thing about harnessing grit is you can't let it go. You have to keep moving forward. And once you get that message, you won't fail because you figure out the system that works for you, your life, your team, and that is all that you'll need. And guess what? It's all within. You don't have to look outside. Listen, you can become motivated by looking at other people, right? You can become motivated. But at the end of the day, there's only so much motivation you can get at looking at another star. You have to begin to cultivate the light within yourself. You have to begin to shine bright within yourself. And that comes when you understand your destiny. You understand why you were put on this earth. That is how you're able to harness grit. When you understand that, you'll focus on developing you on the inside so that you can pay it forward and be a beautiful light and shine for others. You won't have to steal from others. You won't have to rip others off. You won't have to feel that you're better than others because the way you've been packaged. You won't have to feel that you have to take from others because, their light is shining brighter than you think yours is shining, or they're more marketable than you, or they have more to offer than you. You don't have to take from them because you would have harnessed your own grit. So you already know what you're working with. So with that said, those are some things that you should definitely keep in mind is how do I develop grit within myself so that I don't have to feel like I have to take from another person or do some type of negative transaction to make me rise. Because honestly, I do believe in energy and karma and all the other stuff, right? I do believe that what you put in the universe, you will get back. You will get back. Whether in this lifetime or in the lifetime to come, it's coming back for you, honey, right? So with that said, I'm very careful. I try to be very careful as to what I put out. And hence, that makes me a very passionate individual, very loving, but very open. And I get that, right? But I say that, okay, that's just a side note, but I say that because I was thinking about this today. And when you're trying to harness grit and you're trying to figure out what makes me keep going, what's going to make me accomplish that goal, it should not result in you being either jealous of someone or competing with someone. That is not a good source of energy. It should be because you found your purpose and you need to expand that purpose in a way that will benefit you and others without harming anyone so that you can go on and be great. They can go on and be great. Everybody benefits. And that purpose that you were destined to fulfill will come to pass. And I'm just saying that, and I'll leave that there. But with that said, guys, I'm so excited that you came on here to talk to me today, talk with me today about harnessing grit. And so with that said, be on the lookout. I do have some great content that I just released on my website that you'll be able to find. And it's going to include different things. I have grit workbooks for everyone that were tailored from just different things that influenced me, including my work, my research work, also my talk and other things. So go to www.india-white.com. You'll find so many great things within this grit workbook. I have an entire grit curriculum that I have come out with that has been launched, and I'm super excited. It is I'm thankful to God for the idea. I'm thankful to God for the resource, and I'm willing to partner with you to provide professional development for you, grit trainings for you, where I can come to your school district, come to your business, and talk about grit. So if you're interested in that, feel free to visit my website and leave a message for me with one of the service forms, or you can email me. I will show my email. Oh, my email is actually going below in the banner. I forgot. Go Gators. So there's my email there. So you can email me at india.white.123@gmail.com. So with that said, guys, I'm super excited about just being able to share this content with you. I hope you've learned something regarding harnessing grit. I hope that you're able to use this content and to help people. But, if you take anything from me, when you're harnessing grit, that passion, why are you passionate about that goal? Check your intentions. Check your energy. Check your attitude. If it's derived from jealousies, envies, vengeance, competition, resentment, malice, spite, it's not good energy. And I don't know where that's going to lead you to. And it might open up a door that you'll regret, or it might backfire to where you'll say, oh my God, I did all this, but in the end, I wind up getting egg in the face. In the end, I wind up getting hurt even more. So check your intention. If you're doing it to compete and that competition is stemmed out of jealousies, envies, hurts, malice, or whatever, you might want to second guess before you move forward with that. I just want to tell you, do it with a good spirit. Do it with a good heart, because it'll pay off if you do it with the right spirit. And if you don't try to seek vengeance and you just do it because that's what you're called to do, or that lines up with your destiny, you will go far. And I wish you the best on that. So with that said, thanks so much for joining me today on this podcast. Again, the Let's Get Gritty podcast with Dr. India White. It will be featured on Swain Girl Media Channel. Thanks, Swain, our precious, for that. And on Fire Stick, also on all the Apple stuff as well, which, guys, listen, I just crossed over with Apple and iPhone and stuff, so I'm a little slow. So thanks for your patience. If you want to follow me on Facebook, you can follow me on Miss India White. LinkedIn is The India White. Twitter is Indie Speak and Teach. Instagram is Indie238. And YouTube is India White 123. And if you want to be featured on my show, please email me a photo and bio at india.white.123@gmail.com. Again, check out my website. A couple of you have already been doing that. Thank you. My schedule is starting to fill up, so you better get on me if you're wanting some summer professional development, some professional development in the fall for your school district, for your university on grit or on equity or on socio-emotional learning or some other things, and we can make it happen. So reach out to me. www.india-white.com. You'll be able to see my brand new workbooks. You'll be able to see the blogs, and you'll be able to schedule me for an event. With that said, guys, thanks so much for joining me. And I hope that you really enjoyed this show today. And until next time, take care. Bye.